if they really do continue to pay and get the top talent, I don't know that there's any other sport that potentially could hijack a league like golf could. I'm not really seeing the controversy at all. It seems pretty simple.
You know what? Come on here.
You want to pay me how much money? You want to give me more money than I've earned 30 years at the PGA? All overnight little wire transfer, get a big old chunk of money. Oh, maybe 120 for, what was that? Johnson got paid 120 for this?
Yeah, and you're going to guarantee that? That's my signing bonus.
I don't really get why there's such a controversy. I feel like it's a hit job from the PGA Tour media trying to make it out to be like these guys are bad guys.
If you're kind of the established group, you don't want somebody coming in and taking your spot. So you're going to try to find the negatives and however you can to defend yourself.
I mean, you've been a big avid golfer for quite some time. You know all these guys. Is there any piece of you that thinks this is a bad move for these guys moving over there?
I really personally don't think so, because in the end, they're going to play the best competition. And you know what? It's just like any tournament. If you want to go to this tournament or that tournament, why wouldn't you be allowed to do that? I understand there's some big bucks here, and they're trying to buy you away from your LPGA Tour or your PGA Tour. I don't think so.
So if you don't know much about golf, explain it to me now. So you've got some of the top-level golfers are doing what? Explain, for someone that doesn't know what we're talking about, what controversy, paint the picture real quick, just so they know.
Well, you're looking at Dustin Johnson, probably considered the best or one of the top 3 best in the world right now. And he's done very well on the PGA Tour. All of a sudden, he's bolting. $125 million signing bonus doesn't include any appearances, any of his winning. So he's going to play in the tournaments and win money there too. How can you blame someone? How can you say, come on, you're not... I know there's controversy because of it. Saudi Arabia's involved, but you know what? There's all kinds of things all over the world that's being done, and we don't...
Well, all those companies too, when you're really talking about is everyone's hands clean here? Nike's hands, there's been an awful lot of controversy with Nike over the years, but yet they're a big sponsor in the sport. So you can't tell me that there's not a little bit of dirt on anyone's hand. When it comes to playing the sport, having competition, I don't know. I'm not seeing much of a controversy. Now, to paint the picture, though, a little cleaner, now the PGA Tour doesn't pay their players like that. Is that the biggest difference that we're seeing? Is it's a completely different model? These guys are getting signing bonuses and huge payouts when they win, coming any place. What was that place guy that you said?
You're getting guaranteed money. So in the very first tournament, I think there was 48 players. The one that took 48th was guaranteed $120,000. So you
That's
come
insane.
in there. You know how much that would make you relaxed if you said, I want to make 120 no matter how I play. You're not just going to play bad.
Right.
You're playing to win.
Now in the PGA, what would that setup be?
The setup, the last guy, well, first off, you would have a cut. So the LIV is only going to go, I think, 48 deep. The PGA may go 120, but they're going to cut it down to 40 or so. So all those other guys that didn't make the cut, I don't think they make anything. They might get a little bit of an appearance money, but not $120,000.
Right. I mean, it's pretty guaranteed, that kind of money. I don't, the argument would be, are you going to see the best competition when you split up these, you know what I mean? When you split up your top tier competition into 2 different leagues, it's kind of odd that now they're not going to play against each other, but you can't blame the guys for taking the money.
Well, of course. And, you're trying to get the best guys in the world to play. So why can't they play in more than one different style tournament? If you're afraid of the competition, that's one thing. We have that list up here. I mean, you look down through this list, these are some of the top guys in the world. So,
yeah, Phil Mickelson, what was the other stat that we were reading? He got paid more.
$200 million. I think
$200 million to play in the LIV series.
And that's his signing bonus, which is more than he's made in, I believe, 30 years on the PGA Tour. Now, I'm not downgrading the PGA Tour. They're awesome. And it is a tradition. But it's just like a job, isn't it? Somebody offers you more money, you're going to have to strongly take a look at that.
Yeah, because when you're talking about $200 million, for that guy, That's generational wealth. Don't get me wrong. He probably already has generational wealth. But you can't tell me with a straight face that if you're sitting there with the microphone and everybody's got a pin next to you and they're like, so for $200 million to change like you and probably your family's family and their kids and their kids and their kids' lives, probably indefinitely forever, do you want to just stick to your guns and stay with the PGA, or what do you think about $200 million?
Man, I think we all have our number, you know.
Yeah.
And the thing is, part of the talk has been, well, how are they going to last? How are they going to be able to do it? Man, if you look at it, this is like deep pockets. This bank is unlimited. So I don't think it's going to be, can they afford it? They're not trying to make money.
Yeah, I have a buddy that trades commodities and is real familiar with the oil and things in the Middle East. And I remember talking to him years ago, and he said that a rep that they work with in the Middle East said that they have enough barrels underground to probably last 50 years for the whole world to use. And it's all just supply and demand and moving things around to charge people more money and make more profit. But they've already drilled all the barrels. They already exist. And it's just kind of funny because you're like, well, you think they'll be able to afford to pay these 10 golfers? That kind of, yeah.
We'll be able to afford it. It's coming.
They can afford it.
This money comes from the Saudi Arabian Sovereignty Wealth Fund, okay? $500 billion is approximately the current amount. I read that could be $2 trillion by 2030. So $10 billion to golfers, $20 billion. I think I calculated that was 0.02% of the fund.
Now, they still have the opportunity to get sponsors and everything else. There's no
whatever
limitations
else they want to do. I believe that you just got to play.
Right.
And I think that's the big criteria. So your prize money, appearances, whatever you can do is in addition to that. So obviously the top 4 or 5 guys are going to get those big bonuses, but I can't even remember the guy's name that got $4 million. How could you blame that guy?
Here's one for you to chew on. You've got $1.5 million in 2021 was the average PGA Tour player. That's what they earned. You know, you got some of these on the higher end, $7.7 million in winnings, and on the lower end, you've got $6,000. It looks like that's just a simple Google search. So, to say that these guys aren't getting extremely different compensation is an understatement, and it's kind of unfortunate that their peers are also putting the pressure on them. This should be better for everybody in the sport, right?
Well, I think it should, and I think that it will. You know what's going to happen is that the public, the golf fans are going to make those calls. If nobody's watching, if nobody's going to go to the events, I think that's what's going to happen. But when you got some big names, I think you can stay in the game.
You think there's enough talent out there? You know, I always feel like the NFL with running backs is one of the craziest things to watch, because what are you going to do if they get hurt? If they get hurt, we're screwed. And then what happens? You get this rookie that comes in. You're like, who the heck is this guy, right? There's a lot of guys that can play that if you give them the opportunity, they're pretty good and can put on a pretty good show. So is there enough depth in golfing to handle 2 leagues?
You know, it's a little tougher. But, you know, you looked at that guy that made $6,000. What if he says, I've got to go be a golf pro somewhere? I can't do this. I don't have the backing, so I don't even get a chance. How many times have you seen some guy come in and win a big tournament or play really well that he got in there because somebody else defaulted?
Right.
Can't remember the guy's name right now, the big guy, but who won an open tournament, and all of a sudden it changed his life forever. But these guys aren't going to get that chance.
Well, do you think the LIV will stay at 48? You said 48 players are in that. Do you think they're going to stay at that smaller number so that they can actually pay these guys that kind of money? Or do they just not have the pull yet to bring in that many golfers?
Well, they've set this up because they're playing 54 holes. They're not playing 4 days. It's basically 3 days. So they're not going to, it's going to be, I think their goal is the top 48 in the world. We're going to bring all the best. So unfortunately, if you're not in that category, you're probably not going to get to play here.
So do they actually, if they sign with LIV, does that just make them not eligible to play in the PGA for a certain amount of time? Or is like the PGA basically X-name their name, not eligible ever? Or what's that look like?
They're not saying anything. It's the PGA that's saying if you go over here, you can't come back. And
that's my question. The PGA's
Yeah.
telling Phil Mickelson,
we're
"See you
gonna
later
ban
forever."
you. That's what they're saying. You know, my theory still is if you want the best golfers in the world and these guys say they want to play, are you really going to tell them no? I don't.
Well, not if all your money comes from those TV deals and people want to watch them golf.
You start not having those guys for a while, that could change your perspective on it.
You know, if they really do continue to pay and get the top talent, you know, I don't know that there's any other sport that potentially could hijack a league like golf could.
Well, golf can, if you look at, say, the USFL for football or even the minor leagues for baseball.
But think about that. You would have to pay out and recruit so many players to be able to build a league out like that. Is there really a sport that you could just run out and grab 30 of the highest, best-ranked, well-skilled golfers, and you basically just stole the PGA Tour?
You kind of really did. It's an individual
Right.
game. So 30 people, that's it. There's only, the top 100 to 150 golfers in the
And
world.
most people only can even name the top 7 anyway. So if you go out and you get the top 20, 30 golfers and let them duke it out every single week and you pay them accordingly, the PGA probably is kind of pooping in their drawers. They could steal the league easy.
I think they probably should start saying, okay, how do we compete with this? What are we going to do? They're only doing 8 tournaments. So you got a lot of other time. You got some big tournaments that people want to play in. These guys, I think, have actually said, can I play in the U.S. Open or the, bigger tournaments? But, I understand. When you lose a guy and he's going somewhere else for the lure of the money, you're like, all right, man, dude, I'll show you. Now, I'm still the best.
Yeah.
He's still the best.
We'll see as the year progresses after they play through some tournaments and what the PGA will have as their ultimate level of discipline. Is it going to be a complete ban? Is it really just a short term? But that LIV deal, it's not the other way around. The LIV is not restricting these guys. Can they still play in the PGA Tour tournaments if they wanted to?
I believe so. You just have to commit to their tournaments. You got to play in those tournaments. So
what a deal! Like, unbelievable deal to be Phil Mickelson. Already have made a crap load of money. You want to pay me what? You want to pay me $200 million to play in 8 tournaments this year, and the next 10 years to be in your tournaments?
It's really hard. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against the PGA, and I'm not all over this thing, but it's just fair competition, just like anything else.
Well, they better compete. They better figure something out quick, though, because, as I was just saying, I could see there is no other sport that you could hijack a league other than golf. I mean, literally, if you keep snagging the top-ranked guys, and you only got, 6, 7 more in the PGA that you maybe could snag in the next year or two. And if the PGA really doesn't want to let you play on any of those tournaments anymore, they're going to do this ban thing. I mean, they went and stole the talent.
I'll play 8 tournaments and make millions, and I'll be pretty happy with that. So, again, you can look at all the perspectives of why they shouldn't and, what's happening in Saudi Arabia. But, do we buy oil from them? Do you buy stuff from other countries?
Money talks. You still got your own
talks.
family. You still have your own things to take care of. If you were sitting down from anybody at a restaurant, you were having a conversation with them, as you said earlier, what's your number? That's all there is. There's a number where you'll sign this contract no matter what. And it seems as though if you've got big dollars, you probably can find most everybody's number pretty easy.
Well, I had a conversation with a friend. He was about another job, and he said, well, I wouldn't go halfway across the country for this amount of money. And I said, what is your number? And he said, I'm never leaving the Midwest. And I said, and I threw out some more numbers, and we finally got to the number where he went, don't think I could say no to that.
I think the bags are packed already.
Okay.
Well, that's what I thought was one of the craziest things about this is when I first heard about the controversy, oh my gosh, I can't believe you guys are signing with Saudi Arabia. They stand for so many terrible things, and that was the hype of it. And then you go, okay, so what are these players are actually going to have to experience? Are they making that kind of check and then they have to move to Saudi Arabia? Are they going to get paid and have to be like, out of the United States more or less in the Middle East? Is that... No, none of this. I mean,
you're never going to go to Saudi Arabia and play golf.
You're traveling around the world just as much as you probably would on the PGA Tour. You know, you might have something in London, you might have something over here, but a majority of the tournaments where they just played in California or something last week, didn't they?
Yes, and probably most of them are going to, maybe 5 or 6 out of 8, I'm not sure, but they're going to play in Europe, and that's what's going to draw some of the other golfers. A lot of times you don't get guys that may live in Australia or that may say, well, I don't want to move to the United States. Now we're going to go back and forth and play in both places. That's, we'll see. It's going to be what the marketplace says. They can dump all the money they want into it, but people don't want to watch it or don't go, then what do you do? But the PGA, in my opinion, is not going to say, sorry, guys, can't come back.
Yeah. For sure. Hey, well, let us know what you think. If you liked the video, give us a like, hit subscribe for the old algorithms, and leave us some comments if you've got some opinions on the LIV steal of talent.
I would love to hear it.